As a realtor, your image and reputation is everything, which is why making sure your profiles, images are updated, accurate, and reflect who you are as a professional is critical. At RE/MAX Results, we've created a complimentary online audit to help you make sure that your online presence is an accurate reflection of you for your customers. So if you're interested in having this complimentary guide, shoot us an email, podcast@results.net.
Homeownership is super exciting. A lot of agents come to me and say, you're selling a lot of $1 million plus properties now. How are you marketing for that? They're first-time home buyers. These are people that have bought and sold 5 or 6 homes with us over the years to get to that point. And the amount of equity they have, it's just amazing. There's a lot of money being spent in Minnesota for a variety of different things, but this is one of the more noble causes. The amount of net worth that someone can accumulate through home ownership is staggering. I've seen it time and time again.
Hey everybody, today we have Matt Barker from the Barker Hedges Group of RE/MAX Results and Dan Dahl from Results Home Mortgage here to talk. We're going to get into the weeds a little bit. We're going to do some real shop talk here because we're going to talk about the Minnesota Home Finance Agency. And specifically, there are some new developments with respect to that particular organization, how they're helping people buy homes. So we're going to get into it and talk a little bit more in detail. But first, I got to get to know you guys a little bit more. So Matt, first and foremost, hey, how's it going?
Good to see you too.
We've talked professionally quite a bit, but
sure,
I don't really know your background all that much. So you Minnesota born and raised? What's the deal?
No, I moved to Minnesota literally 1991 as a freshman in high school.
Oh, really?
I'm dating myself a little bit here.
Okay.
For some people.
Yeah.
Literally that first giant snowstorm, the Halloween snowstorm, that was my first initiation to Minnesota.
Where'd you come from?
Springfield, Illinois.
Okay.
So, yes, not a lot of snow down there. So
except for this year.
Right.
We don't have any snow.
Exactly. This is what I was used to. So yeah, it was a little eye-opening. Okay. So finished out high school in Eagan and ended up going to University of Wisconsin, La Crosse. Oh. And I should back up. I met my business partner in high school. We both went to the University of Wisconsin, La Crosse together, had several jobs over the years together, got out of school and jumped into real estate.
Dan Dahl, where are you from? How did you get to real estate?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town called Greenbush, Minnesota. It's up near Roseau, Thief River Falls,
that's
Canadian border. It is 10 miles from Canada. Okay. So made my way to Minnesota State University, Moorhead for college. Came down to the cities for opportunity. I actually worked for Case Credit and financed tractors and combines originally. So that was kind of my way into financing, as that was my degree. I ended up getting into home financing in 97. I was a mortgage broker for a few years. Then I went with Wells Fargo, a couple other places. Needless to say, it's been a long term of home financing. Now, I got introduced to Matt here in Brandon back in 2018, talked about just working their CRM leads, and that was right up my alley as far as just pounding the phone and calling customers, and really our focus has been first-time homebuyer programs. So that's kind of how and why I'm here. I just became an expert, if you will, on MHFA, Minnesota Housing Finance Agencies.
Happy to kind of get to know both of you guys a little bit more. I don't usually get a chance to get everybody's background, because usually when they call me, it's just maybe when they call you, 4-alarm fire, no time to chit chat. We gotta solve a problem.
Down to business.
Down to business.
So MHFA is an organization. Well, maybe you should tell. MHFA organization that is there to help primarily first-time home buyers in Minnesota.
Yes. Yep, lower income for the most part.
The lower income, maybe, okay. Not necessarily limited to first-time home buyers. Then.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Certain income qualifications they qualify, and they provide grants?
It's more of a loan.
Okay.
But these loans are turning into grants, kind of where they're headed. We can jump right into that, I guess.
Let's talk about
the loans that I've been doing for the last, 5-6 years have been loans where they get them, there's no interest. but they are doable at some point. So if your income falls in the tier where you can get the Startup Plus program, we can get $16,500 assistance loan.
As a down payment?
As a down payment, yeah. You get to use that towards the down payment, the cost, and the escrow. There's no interest on it, and it's due when they either sell the house, when the buyer sells the house, or if they live there for 30 years. That's when it's due, all at once. Okay. Yes. Now, if your income is a little high, it falls out of the tier, then you land in the $18,000 startup program, and that does have interest on it, and you do pay that monthly over a 10-year period. Okay. So it's another way for them to help pay for the down payment and cost, and really ideally they're for people who just don't have the ability to save up for that 3% or 3.5% down payment and cost.
And so what's kind of is there a ballpark of an income, household income, like who would sort of qualify for that, or is that hard to say?
They've got tiers out there. So somebody who, one or two people in the household, you're within the Twin Cities, income has to be below $89,000 a year. That's the one I have memorized. There's 3
household
people
income?
and 4 people. Yes, household income. Okay. Yeah, so it's hard, right? Yeah. It's hard to fall into that. Now, for those people that are making over that and there's still just 2 people, there's a program out there that they call the Step Up program. And you can still get that $18,000 assistance loan that has interest in a payment. But yeah, and that goes up to like $185,000 income. So it's available still for those people who too many bills or whatnot, they just can't save up.
So Matt, who would benefit from this? Like, or from like client perspective, like what kind of person, needs to hear about this, about MHFA and what's available to them?
Yeah, well, home ownership is a huge priority for the state of Minnesota. And Minnesota is one of the kind of highest rates of home ownership in the nation. Mm-hmm. I want to say every year, it's varied over the years, but, out of the buyer pool, 30 to 45%, somewhere in that range, have been first-time home buyers. So it's a huge amount of the population. And there's a lot of, the Twin Cities was built, significant growth, I would say, kind of the post-war era. There's just tons of, what I deem, 2, 3 kind of smaller homes that's great for, first-time home buyers that are getting in, that are,
not their forever home.
Not their forever home, but, quite a few properties are going to be, bigger than, the apartments that are out there. The apartments seem to be getting smaller right now, not bigger. Yeah. When you're talking 700, 800, 900 square feet, most of the single-family homes that were built post-World War II are significantly larger than that. Yeah. So,
and obviously you're paying towards your own mortgage, you're paying your own rent, you're not paying that just out the door to someone else.
Right. And great locations too. When you look at Minneapolis, St. Paul, Richfield, St. Louis Park, I know those areas like the back of my hand. I was still new to kind of Minnesota, kind of, as far as driving. Sure. I got my car in high school and then I was kind of off to college, but I had the old King's map book and got to know pretty much all the streets of those areas because we started out working just with first-time home buyers. Okay. So the amount of past clients that we've helped in, the Nokomis area of Minneapolis, St. Louis Park, Richfield, just significant amount of our past clients started there.
Are there any additional stipulations or limitations? Is it only for single-family homes?
No, you can do single-family homes, townhomes, condos.
Are there any sort of nuances or things that specific cities or communities in general that are different, or?
No, it covers the whole state, and that's one of the reasons why we specifically as a lender signed up with Minnesota Housing. And just to kind of touch on that a little bit, some of these programs you do have to apply as a lender. Not every lender can offer them. It's an application process.
You have to be qualified to...
I don't know the specifics on qualifications. I'm sure they get the amount of employees you have, loan officers and things of that nature. But it's a process. And then this specific kind of program, you do have to upload the program into your pricing system. So there's a time and cost factor in whether you want to do this kind of a program. So we specifically signed up years ago simply because you can buy a house almost anywhere in the state of Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So we figure we're going to be able to offer this to a lot of people, unlike some programs out there where they're just subject to a city or a county. That's why we chose not to do certain programs. So you're just going to have a hard time offering them. But MHFA, 95% of the loans I do are with them because it's such a phenomenal program.
First house we bought, my wife and I, when we were, I was still in law school, and it was, what have we been, 2008, 2009 or something like that, when the $8,000 tax credit that was a thing. But there was also offered by MHFA for first-time homebuyers this mortgage credit certificate, which you could use, and you would get a credit on your taxes every year for a number of years. It was a unique thing. It was because it was the housing bubble burst and everything else. Like Minnesota showing interest in seeing more people owning homes. Here's the story. At my law school, some realtors, and I wasn't even thinking about real estate at the time. I thought I was going to be a prosecutor at the time.
Sure.
That was, I learned. But some people came in, loan officers, realtors, everything else, talking about homeownership. They knew a bunch of lawyers, even though we were saddled with tons of debt. Hey, they're probably going to buy a house. And so I kind of connected with this loan officer. I had heard about this mortgage credit certificate elsewhere. This guy has me drive out to his office in Maple Grove. Great guy, however. But he sat there and just said to me, he's like, "Oh, I wouldn't worry about that. That MHFA thing, that mortgage credit certificate, don't worry about it. It's not going to be a big, I wouldn't think about that." And I walked out thinking, what the heck? I got a second opinion.
Good.
With someone else who was qualified to do that. And he basically said, I don't think that other guy, that other loan officer, was eligible to offer that to you.
Sure.
Yes.
And that second opinion saved me thousands of dollars because the person I ended up speaking with was aware of it and was able to deliver that for me. And I got to use these credits on my taxes for years.
Sure.
And the other guy just, I wouldn't, just because he wanted me to stick with him.
Yeah.
Just, wanted people to understand. I mean, getting second opinions, first of all.
Important.
It's very, very important.
Sure.
I don't know if it gets talked about enough, right? Because I think a lot of our sales executives have trusted people who, we trust and we know that they basically have access to all the best platforms. But not everybody is equal, right?
No. Absolutely.
And so what do you mean when you talk to your first-time home buyers and helping them understand the numbers and everything else that are very overwhelming? Like, how do you have that conversation with them?
Yeah, a lot of people find our Minnesota firsttimehomebuyer.com website just from the fact that they heard it from someone and couldn't get information about it. Either their realtor didn't know about it, or their loan officer, or the combination of the two. They just didn't have a good team. And so a lot of people reach out. We've had, I just looked, we're close to 60,000 people that have contacted us on our first-time homebuyer website about information.
Just information.
Just starting the process. And some of them, it takes, we just had someone 4 or 5 years that, it took them that long to get to the point of
Getting ready. Yeah.
Getting ready. And so, it's never too soon to start the process. That's what we tell people.
Yeah.
It is a process.
They're not teaching this in high school.
They're not teaching in high school. And a lot of, there's some complexities to buying your first home. Certainly from the realtor side, there's patience. Most of the people that come in are, 12 to 18 months out.
Sure.
It's Dan and our team working through that process, getting people prepared, being honest with them on if there's got credit issues or make too much money or have too much debts, just being straight with them and giving them the answers.
Yeah.
And that's half the battle.
So you're saying that's the kind of commitment that it takes for a real estate professional to put 12 to 18 months, maybe even more into the process of just getting them.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, maybe to a point where they're actually going to look at houses.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's the fun part.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We did not have any opportunities. My business partner, Brandon, and I didn't have any opportunities getting right out of college. Nobody was coming to us like, sell our $1 million home.
Yeah.
I wish, but we started doing first-time homebuyer seminars, and that just grew.
Are there any other kind of specifics or nuances relating to MHFA that either of you have ever, dealt with that you think people should know about?
The quality of the home has to be
Yes.
at a certain level.
Okay.
They're not going to let you traditionally buy
a condemned house.
Yeah.
That's
a
going to be
real
tough.
fixer-upper. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, they don't want to.
So there's some limitations there. I would say probably 3 to 4 years out of 24 years I've been in business has been extremely challenging for first-time home buyers. And
Yeah.
it was challenging for everyone, I would say. The kind of riding into COVID and then post-COVID.
Yeah.
Just some of the limitations there. Sellers had a lot of options to pick, when you got 15 offers to choose from and
Yeah.
2 or 3 of them are cash. That's going to be challenging for anyone, even putting 20% down to compete in that kind of market. So, but I would say the other 20 years I've been in business has been, for the most part, pretty lucrative for first-time home buyers to be able to get in and
Kind of keep an eye out for the ones that aren't selling, right? I
Right.
mean, if you're struggling to win in multiple offers, you have to start fishing in a different pond.
There's a lot of great solid housing stock in the Twin Cities. Some of it's going to be a little bit dated, but quality houses.
Yeah.
A lot of homes with newer windows over the years. Mechanicals are great. Just they're dated inside, where someone can come in and put a little sweat equity.
So, were there any new developments to this MHFA program that are effective this year?
Yeah, great question. So I'm actually very excited about the one that'll come out here in March or April. It is a first-time generation home buyer program that's coming out. It's still in the works of being put together, but there's 2 programs. One is the first gen loan fund, and that I don't know anything about. Should be coming out in March. I can speculate a little bit about how that one's going to work. But then there's a first generation home buyer loan program that mirrors the startup program that I spoke of. The fund is going to be a $32,000 loan where there's no interest on it, and it is forgiven after 5 years. But again, you got to be a first-time generation home buyer.
Okay.
The loan program is going to be a $35,000 loan, no interest, and that one's going to be forgiven. Half of it's going to be forgiven after 10 years, and then the other half will be forgiven after 20 years. So really, in a sense, those are grants in the end.
Yeah, because
if you make it to term.
Yeah, you make it.
If you can make it to term. Otherwise, they're loans. You got to pay them back if you sell for some reason. But
Sure.
Pretty excited about that. I've talked to a few realtors that they work with folks coming from other countries, moving in, and they're hard workers. They just don't have the money.
Okay, but this is also something that I think everyone at Results should be, shouting from the mountaintops to get the message out to people in the communities to know this is a very substantial sum of money, a very positive program that is focused on a specific community, or I guess type of person within the community, but it's there.
Yeah. It is there. Yeah, another nice thing too is that you can layer these assistance programs. So for instance, first-time generation home buyer could come in and get that $32,000 or $35,000, and I can piggyback. Well, that actually will piggyback behind maybe that $16,500 loan.
Oh, really?
So if you can imagine having $55,000 at your fingertips to put into buying a house, you just gave that buyer more power, more buying power to maybe go from a $250,000 house to a $300,000 house. It's a game changer.
Homeownership is super exciting. I've looked at, a lot of agents come to me and say, gosh, you're selling a lot of $1 million plus properties now. Like, how are you marketing for that? Well, they're first-time home buyers. These are people that have bought and sold 5 or 6 homes with us over the years to get to that point. Yeah. And the amount of equity they have, it's just amazing. It's in my opinion, there's a lot of money being spent in Minnesota for a variety of different things, but this is one of the more noble causes. The amount of net worth that someone can accumulate through home ownership is staggering. Seen it time and time again.
It's important what we do, like in the real estate. Like it touches really on people's lives. It's the setting in which they live their lives, and it's kind of it's a big deal, and it is probably one of the most important things. One of the cool things about what we do is teaching people life math, right?
Yeah.
Life math, and helping them. Maybe some people who don't know what they don't know.
That's the part that I love every day is educating people. You know, buying a home is usually the largest transaction that they're going to go through in their life. So it's really an honor and a privilege to be able to manage that and see them from start to finish. And when they get the keys on the day they buy their house for the first time, there isn't much better out there to witness.
Yeah.
Just the gratefulness.
Joy.
Most of the thank you cards that I get are from first-time home buyers from, years and years. I was just looking through some of my files and I was reading some of them.
What's the best thank you card you ever got?
Best thank you card I ever got. Just that, just sticking with someone for the long haul. And sometimes it's going to take several years to get someone into that home.
Yeah.
Especially their first home. Because, not everybody knows about their credit score and how important that is. And, it can take some process to kind of clean that up and kind of get up that ladder to be able to buy. And just the gratefulness that someone has once they've gotten there is just staggering.
Most of us all started from somewhere.
Yeah.
And it wasn't with that silver spoon in our mouth.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
From way north Minnesota to also north Minnesota.
I've got one guy, it came back to me, and I laugh every time I think about it, but he was so kind and so appreciative through the process. Odd income, gathering this and that and asking questions and so worried. But when he got his house and he was done, he sent me a text that was a mile long. And in that text, he said, Dan, he goes, they should erect a statue of you. And I'm laughing when I see this, but I know he was dead serious because he appreciated, just the hoops we went through and just getting him. He's from another country, so just kind of learning English, but he just was so appreciative of that. And, that's the part of the process and the reason why I love doing these first-time homebuyer programs.
Yeah.
They're so appreciative of it. It's awesome.
Right. Well, I haven't commissioned a statue for you just yet, but we'll.
Oh my gosh.
I'll see what price of bronze is these days.
Yeah, I don't expect that.
A nice bust right there. Just
yeah, no, but that's great. That's
awesome.
great. Those are the folks that appreciate it that first time around.
Well, gentlemen, this has been very insightful. I really appreciate the time from both of you, and hopefully we can all do a good job of getting the message out. First generation potential home buyers.
Right.
Minnesota's got some really exciting things cooking for you. We're just going to have to stay tuned to get those final details.
Thank you. Appreciate the invite.
All right, guys.
Appreciate you having us.